Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hello, and welcome to episode 71 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. My name is Sarah Wasco, and I'm joined by my colleague, Roxanne Rapsky, and we are with FranNet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. And we created this podcast to bring you all things related to business ownership and specifically franchising. And today we are thrilled to welcome our guest, Shane Savory. And Shane is the owner of Donut Envy in Flower Mound. So Shane, welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Thank you.
We are thrilled to have you. Shane and I worked together last year on his journey to explore business ownership. So Shane, as we like to do, let's just kind of start off with your background and kind of what led you to want to explore being a franchisee.
So my background, I graduated from college, was going to go to law school, and just was too mortified of being a contract lawyer my whole life. So I just didn't, it wasn't a path I wanted to go in. And during college, I started working in restaurants, and I was able to buy a house during college. Long story on that, my dad bought me stock when I was like 5 years old, and I matured. And then I bought a house, rented it out to my friends, sold it, took all the money, got in the stock market, and moved to LA, and was doing day trading and things like that. And then inevitably wanted to get back in working and stuff like that. I didn't want to just be sitting at home or whatever. So I started doing restaurant stuff and did a corporate gig at ABC Television for ad sales. And then I just really loved the flexibility and the fun of working in a restaurant. So then I just went back to it and married my wife, and she was in pharmaceutical sales. She did pretty well. So I was able to kind of do that, and we split the bills or whatever. And then, when we got married, the bills were there. And then during that whole process, I was able to open a couple restaurants that were on the corporate level, a Morton's of Chicago and a Capital Grille. And so that kind of got me, that's like the highest echelon of like training in the restaurant world, because they basically, so anybody that's, you could have no skills and be theoretically put into any place in the restaurant. So it's very, very thorough. And, so I did that. And then my son ended up getting diagnosed with autism. And so one of us, we were kind of doing the stay-at-home dad thing in the daytime, working nights, and then it was working great for us. And then when my son got diagnosed, my wife's like, I didn't even want to try this part-time. Like we need you home. And he's doing fantastic. So he's done so well. And that was part of the reason why we decided, I didn't want to get back in a restaurant. And we're like, what are we going to do with you? And I'm like, I don't know. And so let's think about buying a franchise. Let's think about buying a business. I don't know. Let's do this. And then,
so I'll pause you there. You had been in the restaurant business. You enjoyed it, but took a hiatus to stay home with your son after his diagnosis. And then you guys moved here from Washington, and you kind of felt like after you'd gotten settled here and he found his place in school and was starting to thrive, that, okay, it's time for Shane to go back and do something. But now what is that going to be?
Correct.
And I know Anne is still in pharmaceutical sales, right? So she has to be out and about. So I know it was important to you to have some flexibility in what you were doing. Mm-hmm. So we met and started kind of looking at opportunities. And I remember, share with me a little bit. I remember when we had some follow-up calls, you had shared with me that the brand you ended up buying, Donut Envy, was third on your list of the three that I initially introduced you to, which is not
so common.
Yeah, not very uncommon at all. And you had some reservations initially. I know you said kind of thought it was a slight deterrent. So share with us a little bit about that.
I just, I was like picturing like, oh, do I want to be in like a stinky grease pit making donuts? And, how much money can you really make doing this? There was just, things like that, and like having to basically, and they advertise it as a marketing business first. It is, and so I'm like, well, I'm not great at marketing, so I don't know, but I mean, then I started looking at the business model and I saw the profit margins. And so being from the restaurant business, I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy margins, because food cost on lemonade and donuts is so little compared to protein and things like that. So then I was like really intrigued, and it was so funny because I remember falling in love with it so much. My wife and I were both that I was like, I haven't even tried the donuts yet, but honestly, I don't care. Like at this price point, like I'm in. And we ended up trying the product. Somebody had their trailer set up at a farmer's market, and I was like blown away. I mean, I'm not even a sweets guy. I mean, my last name is Savory. Okay. And I was like,
okay, that's funny.
Yeah. I was like, these are amazing donuts. I'm like, hey, we're really in. And,
well, I like what you said. I'm not a sweets guy. I don't even necessarily care about the flavor. So you were thinking more about it from a business perspective and not as much about kind of, what the product was. So,
or your personal interest in the product.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is because I think a lot of people get hung up on that piece too.
I know they do.
Kind of at the beginning, we were a little bit too, because you kind of like, you envision if you're going to own a business one day, it's like it's all about passion. It's like, at the end of the day, put your passion aside and look at the numbers is what it comes down to.
But some people's passion is making money, and that's okay.
Yes.
Tell me about
Right?
it. Like there's, like I've met some other franchisee, like the owners that are, some people are way better at making money than me and are way more motivated to make money than I am, which is God bless them. Because it's not necessarily I'm driven more from my family and things like that. But yeah, some people get after it and they can crush it, and they do.
Well, I love that too, though. I mean, it's your own business and you can grow it at the pace you want. We kind of talk about that. And for you, a lot of it is lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And that was, I remember, part of the attraction for you, because you felt like if your children had an activity or something that might interfere with an opportunity or an event, that you could just decline that, as opposed to having a facility that's open X number of hours every day or most days and being dependent on employees and that sort of thing.
And that's the other thing too is I'm like, obviously right now I'm not going to turn any business down. I'm building a territory. I'm doing everything's in it, but I'm not going out to get a lot more business, because I want to grow to a point where I'm like, okay, here's how much work we have. Now I can hire an employee, not just my daughter doing it with me, which is awesome. And she's amazing, but I do need to get another employee at one point. But right now, my wife and I have done a couple. My daughter and I are taking care of it.
How old's your daughter?
She's 13. I don't even know if that's legal. I think it is legal if it's a family business.
Well, she's just your helper. She's not working for you.
No, I think I think it's fine if it's a family business. We're doing all right. But
let's explain. I mean, we've been talking about Donut Envy, but let's kind of talk about what it is, so that our listeners know and might be able to check you out and come try these donuts at some events.
So we do mini donuts and fresh squeezed lemonade are the two main things that we do. Iced coffee, flavored iced coffee are some other sub products that we do. And it's a real simple thing. I mean, you're going to get a mini bag of donuts. You can pick from like 12, 14, 15 different toppings, depending on what we have on the board that day. And it's really cool. You get to go watch the donuts being made. The donut machine's got a window. People love to watch them go down the grease river, basically is what it is, and the oil river.
It's hysterical.
And people, and people are like full on like filming it. And I'm like, this is like the free advertising you get from people because they think it's so neat, and we're just getting started.
Well, and your trailer is really cool. It's bright colors. Yep. The wheels, the inside of the wheels are sprinkles, like donut sprinkles, right?
Yep. They really thought out. It's a real clean looking, you've seen food trucks and you see that giant dome on top.
Yeah.
That it just kind of looks weird. And it's like they got away with that. It's a real clean looking thing. And what I'm already learning early on is that just the attractiveness of a corporate looking food truck. Yeah. If you're a decision maker, it's so easy for you to be like, I'm going to go with Donut Envy, because you don't have to explain like, oh, that food truck sketch over there, but the tacos are fantastic. They're like, here's Donut Envy and it's donuts.
It looks,
everybody's going to love it. And so that's what I'm already finding is the franchisors the founders, Alex and Amanda, I mean, to say they've thought of, I mean, you can always think of more things, and they do, and they constantly evolve.
Yeah.
But they've really thought of everything. I mean, it's very impressive what they've put, not just thought of on their couch as like my wife and I have our cocktail and we sit there and talk about our ideas, but they've actually to implement it is highly impressive. What they've done.
And that's coming from somebody with true restaurant experience that understands food at a high level, and you've been trained by the best. So for you to be blown away by their systems and what they've implemented says a lot more than somebody like me who doesn't have that experience.
Absolutely.
Because you've been there and you've been trained by the best.
That I'm like shoulder to shoulder with these people. A lot of them are professional franchise owners, and most people that own other franchises that are buying this franchise. So that should tell you something.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. So me buying is like, that's Shane. So what? but them, they're like, they know the business, and these people are professional franchise owners. Now you get along with them, and they are clueless when it comes to operating in a kitchen, and so they're freaked out when they show up to training, and they're like, I don't know if I can do this, and their training is. It doesn't matter. My 13-year-old daughter can run the truck, and she's really smart. I mean, so I'm not like discounting her or anything, but
yeah, but she's 13, so she doesn't have business experience.
Correct. And she knows they leave no stone unturned. If anything, they're overcautious. I mean, because I picked it up pretty quick just because of my experience. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's enough now. But I mean, but people need that extra repetition, and no, I mean I told the owner, I was like, this training I would put up against any corporate, the restaurants that I've opened, the two I've opened.
Yes. And to remind everyone that, didn't you say it was Morton's? And
Morton's before they became Landry's. So it was original Morton's of Chicago and a Capital Grille.
So that's an incredible frame of reference. Yeah. To your point, Roxanne, most of us wouldn't know that. And some of them needed a little more training potentially than you, but your 13-year-old daughter can run it, so you don't have to get in. And a lot of people that are looking at potential food brands are maybe not a fit because franchisors kind of tend to want you to have restaurant experience, but that was not the case this time. So
and it was actually it was kind of for me. When we started going, I was kind of like, how's this going to look? Am I going to try to be an absentee owner? Like, how am I going to do this? And I didn't really know what to do. And I happened to go to a Jersey Mike's open in Trophy Club brand, like just about 3 months ago. Right. And so I went there, and I'm a Jersey Mike addict. And so I went there like 3 times in the first 2 weeks. It was embarrassing. And I kept seeing the owner there. And I said, can I talk to you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, how many of these do you own? He says, this is my 3rd one. And the other 2 are in Alliance. And I'm like, how long do you live here? And he goes, 6 months, pretty much 6 months. And I was like, thank you for that, because I really started to see what that means. Cause it means you have to know every bolt, everything about that business to be able to, and other business owners don't know this, I'm sure, but I didn't. And to really hand it off to somebody, you have to know inside and out what's going on. And so I love it because it gave me a reference. I'm like, okay, now I know what I'm going to do the next 6 months. I'm going to live this business and not even think about outsourcing or getting a manager or anything like that. I'm just going to do this,
So where are you? Like where do you operate your trailer? Where are you? You live in Trophy Club. So what kind of events are you at? Like if people wanted to come out and discover your donuts, where would they find you?
So far, we're just kind of doing, this weekend, for instance, at the Flower Mound, they're doing concerts in the park.
Nice.
And so we're going to do tomorrow, it's 7 to 9. So there's that one. And then we're doing a private graduation party on Saturday. And that's going to be really fun, I think, because it's going to be just kids coming in and out. And she's like, just sling donuts. We're prepaid.
And it's prepaid, right?
Correct, yes. Yeah, and so that's great. And then Monday, I'm doing Little Elm. I'm just going to do an employee appreciation thing. Okay. But I'll put all these obviously on social media. So if people want to find us, they can find us.
Just by searching for Donut Envy. So it's Donut and then capital N, capital V, Flower Mound. Correct. And they can find them. So how are you finding these events? How are you making those connections and those relationships to get the events?
My laugh. So one of the other franchisors, our franchisees, was amazing. And he's like, here, man. And he was like, he went through and he introduced me to all these contacts in my territory that he had been working with, because they're really good. Once you have the territory, it's your territory.
So someone else had been working it prior
Yep.
to your purchase.
Yeah.
And then he recognized that it's no longer his opportunity. And so he made some introductions for you.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice.
He was really selfless in that. Everybody in the Donut Envy family has been incredibly selfless. We have a WhatsApp with all the North DFW owners, and then we have a WhatsApp with all the Texas owners. We have the family page on Facebook of all the donut. I mean, they call it a family, and a lot of times people use that as a buzzword. The franchisors call it a family, and they use that, but it is 100%. I mean, they put their money where their mouth is. It is, you feel really part of the family. Everybody is just as helpful as possible. I just, the other day, somebody ran out of the bags you put donuts in, and he's like, we're dying. We have these events. And I'm like, meet me in my storage space. I'm a little slow behind the 8 ball getting started, so I still have plenty of bags. So, and they bought them from me. And, so it's a really cool thing. You feel like you have all the support you would. And I had a friend, I won't throw them under the bus, but there was a franchise of a major restoration company, that the largest one you could probably think of. And he had 3 franchises. And I was telling him our support we were getting. And he's like, dude, that is amazing. Because we get nothing. They do some advertising, obviously and stuff. But he's like, we get no support from them. And
well, yeah, that's a good point. And that's part of doing your due diligence too, because there are so many different types of franchises out there, and they're all run very differently. And that's part of doing proper due diligence and talking to franchisees, and really not just picking a brand because they're popular, which is what a lot of people do, but understanding the culture of that brand and picking it because it's a good fit. But, a lot of people are shy or a little bit wary, I would say, of some of the emerging brands. But here's an emerging brand where you were able to come in and there's already brand recognition in your area. There's not even that many franchisees here because somebody else has already kind of created that for you, and you were able to jump on and
totally.
And kind of
and then we're just learning the process as well. And then realizing, then you talk to Franchise Fastlane, and they're like, their standards are insane for what they'll accept. And they're like, this is our only food franchise we've ever had. Yeah. And so, I didn't even know about them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, And then.
Okay. So thank you for saying that, because so many times people don't realize that there's a lot of opportunities out there that they potentially never would have found on their own without partnering. We all kind of are in the habit of going online, maybe if we're looking for a new home, and looking on Zillow, and everything's going to be there that is for sale, or most things, unless they're for sale by owner. But the majority of, properties that are for sale are going to be available to you online. And that's not the case with franchises. There's too many. You mentioned Franchise Fastlane. So just to explain that's a franchise sales organization, and they come in and work with some of the emerging brands to help them with their franchise development. So the other thing, really, just to kind of, I guess, expand on is, you're describing a culture, and every franchise is going to have its own culture. So we really want to make sure that individuals are finding a culture fit that's comfortable for them.
Yeah. I mean, there's one event I couldn't do because I already had something booked, and I reached out and I said, I'm really trying to build my territory, and I don't want to turn anything down. I think this is going to be a good event. And they're like, I got you. And they ran their trailer up. It's. So
how did that work financially? Did you split the proceeds, or they give you a percentage? Or?
I did. I think I'm supposed to get 10%. I didn't. Okay. So now I picked up an event in somebody else's territory, and they're like, make sure you slide me the 10%. I'm like, okay, I'll make sure I do that next time. I'm just trying to, I didn't want to be the new guy being like, how is it here? I'm learning quick. And I think it's not a problem. It's just, they're accepting the gig and going to give you,
But then you're not letting the organization that's hosting the event down, hey, I'm not available, but I've got, a partner in the business that can help you.
And that's the other thing too, is that being a franchise, it's the consistent product. So even if they're like, oh, we really like, Muhammad is the guy that was setting me up with all this, these connections with my territory, like, oh, we really like Muhammad and his trailer. And I'm like, but they know they're getting, I haven't had one person, they know exactly what they're getting. They're like, oh, great. You're a guy now. Excellent. There's never been like a nostalgia.
Consistency.
There's like, okay, well, that's congratulations on your new business. Now let's,
same trailer, same donuts.
Same thing. Yep. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing, the consistency. You're right. That's the beauty of it.
Totally.
Yeah. And, back to the kind of the support conversation, another conversation that I am having with clients is don't get hung up on the percentage of the royalty, because you shared, another franchisee in a different brand indicated you're getting a lot more support than they are. So I don't know how the royalty percentage would compare, but they could have a lower royalty. But if you have a lower royalty for nothing, and then, potentially you might be paying a little bit higher, but if you're getting that kind of support and brand recognition and, leads from your neighbors, and
that's part of the thing that all the franchisees love, is that it's a flat rate. It's no percentage.
Okay.
And so you know exactly what you're paying every month, and it's static. So everyone loves that.
So let's stop there a second. I'm glad that you're saying that, because a lot of times my clients will say, well, if they're charging this flat fee and they're not charging a percentage, how motivated are they going to be to give us help? Like, for some reason,
they're going to get their money either way.
Yeah, it lands negatively, and it really is a positive, because as you make more money, the amount you pay to the franchisor doesn't go up like it would if it were a percentage. It's just that flat rate.
I think that's kind of a concern with. I've talked to a couple people. It's like it feels like they're really kind of building this thing up to sell it. And so then when somebody comes in, I know this is complete speculation, but they are really doing a good job of growth. I mean, they're growing it rapidly. And so we're like, okay, so if that happens, what's going to happen to the culture? But right now, at the end of the day, I told my friend, I was like, he's an engineer and he's awesome. His name's Nick. He's in North Carolina. Hi, Nick. And I was like, listen, dude, at the end of the day, it's a restaurant business. We have donuts. They have money. We have lemonade. They have money. We will it's a real simple transaction. We don't need a lot of support once we get established. Getting established is tough, but once down the road, I mean, if you write a ticket, they'll fix your trailer, and at the end of the day, it's kind of all you need. So, is
there any other kind of marketing that you're doing besides?
Right. Well, actually, I've talked to one gal who does events. We're talking Donut Envy. They find these partners. And this one marketing firm, the 6 franchisees that went with them, got an average of 25 leads the first month in April. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm like,
you wouldn't be able to keep up with that.
No. So I'm like, well,
there's not enough days.
Well, that's why. So I'm going to go down that road. And honestly, beyond that, I don't really. I mean, just the business has been coming my way.
Yeah.
I'm fine to outsource that, and my wife's totally fine that we do that. And then, and she's been helping. She's got a marketing background, and so she's been helpful with finding I've reached out to some homeowners, HOAs, and stuff of some large developments like Canyon Falls, and things like that. So I've gotten gigs there and things, but not a lot. Not
that's
much.
Nice. It's nice that you have a fun business and a catchy trailer that. It's attractive, who doesn't like donuts?
Totally.
So,
and that's some of the feedback that I've gotten. That the owners like to be in an environment where people are happy and having fun, and they just bring joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and that would be quite contradictory to your original plan to be an attorney in contract law, right?
Right. Well, I didn't want to be in contract law, but that was the odds that I would have ended up there.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm just picturing myself as, trial lawyer of the century. And I'm like, which I may well have been able to pull off,
but attorneys are generally working to solve some kind of big problem, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, well, this has been so much fun to learn about Donut Envy. I'm curious, are there any big challenges that you've faced that have been a struggle? Okay.
Well, I joked with the owner, and I'm like, my entire life, whether I start a new restaurant, I just tell the manager, I'm like, listen, I will make every single mistake once. I can only learn from making mistakes for whatever stupid reason. So then I learn, and then once I make all the mistakes, then I'm really good at it. It's just I have to. So I jackknifed my trailer into my truck, brand new truck. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Then I got like super confident with backing a trailer, because that's a big thing. And so I was all like, yeah, I got this down. And then I clipped a post on my storage unit, knocked the serving table off. Stays to the side of the trailer. Luckily, where I have my place stored at American Lantana RV anyways, so Lantana RV, I store it there. This guy is a block away, called American RV and Trailer Repair.
Oh.
And he's from Orange County as well. He moved his business to Texas. And so he's awesome. And he can fix anything. So whatever I get myself into, one block away.
You found a friend.
And he likes me. So he's like, he fixed my table and he only charged me like $350. And I'm like, dude, seriously? He's like, I hooked you up, man.
So if your biggest challenge is navigating the trailer, we're doing pretty good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's been the primary thing. I haven't sought more business, so I'm not going to complain that I don't have more. I've been my pace of growth is just fine with me.
Good.
Besides screwing up the stupid trailer and my truck, it's been great. So
And that can be repaired.
yeah,
So,
the truck I'm not going to repair yet. I'll wait on that.
in the event it might happen again.
Yeah.
So stupid. Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, if somebody were to approach you, they see you've got your own business. And I think people that are curious about business like to approach business owners and ask them questions. How'd you get into this? Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, you asking the Jersey Mike's guy, you had a question for him, right? So if someone were curious about franchising and they were thinking about buying a franchise or starting a business and they said, hey, Shane, is there any tip that you have for me? You've been through this process. What would you say?
Okay. Well, I've learned quickly is that the people that rock at this are not necessarily the most cranial, smartest people in the room. They're smart people. Don't get me wrong. They're bright, but they don't psych themselves out. They're driven. They're like hustlers, and they don't think about it. They just go. And you could overthink so many things to this and psych yourself out. And you just got to just kind of go with the flow. You'll learn as you go. And then you just make it happen. But there's a lot to it. There's nothing simple about owning a business at the beginning at all. It's way more than I thought it was going to be, but you just learn,
Yeah, you just have to follow the system.
Yeah.
That's right. That's great advice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of just go with it. To your point, I think sometimes people big time get an analysis paralysis and, really drag themselves down.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, it's sometimes, again, ignorance is bliss. Sometimes it's just go, just do it. Don't
Figure it out later.
My favorite, right? So, this is the parental advice. I'm like, someday I really want to have my own restaurant. My dad's like, well, 75% of restaurants fail. So, I mean, it's just a losing business, and that's what you're told your entire life.
Yes.
Right. So, and it's true though.
Right.
So
many do.
You kind of have to put your blinders on and just go. And, I think I told you in our pre-call, that the way this is set up, it's like it's like choose your own adventure. You'll do as well or as poorly as you decide you want to do.
Yeah.
Especially for this particular franchise. It is really your own. I mean, there's no brick and mortar, like you said. It's just like, if I decide to work, let's hook up the trailer and we'll go sell some donuts.
So on that note and hooking up the trailer, if somebody had an event and they wanted to have a donut trailer at their event, how would they find you?
Facebook, donut, just go to Donut Envy, the donutenvy.com. There's a zip code, trailer finder or whatever, book a trailer.
Okay.
They've got, I've gotten a lot of business through their lead generator, which is really, they do a good job of that.
Nice.
And and then that, and then you get a lot of followers on Facebook. So somebody's like, hey, you got to put your events up because we want to go find your truck. And I'm like, I just haven't, because technically my site was up, but we weren't able to open for a month after because we had preached other trips and spring break and things like that. So we didn't get started. So people were like, hey, we really want to I'm like, I know, man. We're gonna be going here really quick. So
your Facebook page is Donut Envy Flower Mound.
Donut Envy Flower Mound. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And Instagram, they're really good, and I'm not good at training about social media marketing and all that stuff. I was hoping my daughter would be a little more excited about doing that because I'm terrible, but she's not really taking an interest. So I need to take that by the horns.
Yeah, we might have a social media person that we know.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, thank you so much for visiting with us today and telling us your story, sharing your learnings and your experiences. And we hope you'll come back at a later date and maybe a year from now and tell us how it's been. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So for those of you joining us and listening in, thank you. Please follow Sarah and I on LinkedIn. I'm Roxanne Rapske, Rapske, and Sarah Waskow, Waskow. You can also find us on frannet.com and on our YouTube channel at Frannet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. And lastly, you can find Unpredicted Entrepreneur, this podcast, on any of the podcasting platforms. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.